First Contact Deception. The Meridian Consortium's flagship, Eternal Serenity, glided through the void with the effortless grace that characterized all vessels of their ancient civilization. Its bioorganic hull pulsed with subtle bioluminescent patterns, living technology that had evolved over 10 millennia of careful cultivation. High Commander Veller stood on the command deck, his translucent skin shimmering with the neural patterns that conveyed his thoughts to the ship's consciousness. He regarded the approaching human vessel on the main view screen with barely disguised condescension. Primitive propulsion systems, observed Science Director Nilana, her four-fingered hands dancing across the sensory interface. Chemical thrusters paired with what appears to be rudimentary fusion technology. Their hull is composed of manufactured metal alloys rather than grown composites. Veller's skin flashed with the blue-green pattern denoting amusement. As anticipated, the intelligence surveys classified humans as a Category 3 species, spacefaring but technologically underdeveloped. The human ship, designated as UEA's Harmony, was indeed unimpressive by Meridian standards. Blocky and utilitarian with visible well blinds and external radiation panels, it resembled something their ancestors might have built 8,000 cycles ago. "They're hailing us, High Commander," announced communications specialist Thilara. "Open the channel," Veller commanded, assuming the benevolent posture prescribed by consortium protocols for first contact with lesser species. The view screen activated to reveal a human male with light skin and dark facial hair. He wore a simple gray uniform with minimal ornamentation, further evidence of their primitive cultural development, Veller thought. "Greetings, representatives of the Meridian Consortium. I am Captain David Rise of the United Earth Ship Harmony. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our solar system." Veller performed the traditional greeting gesture, his seven-fingered hands forming intricate patterns that symbolize peace and enlightenment. "Greetings, Captain Rise. I am High Commander Veller of the Meridian Consortium. We come in peace and friendship, seeking cultural exchange with your species." Within hours, a human delegation had transferred to the Eternal Serenity for a formal reception. The Meridians had prepared their central atrium, a vast chamber filled with exotic flora from 1,000 worlds and illuminated by free-floating light organisms. Captain Rice arrived with 5 other humans, all in similar uniforms. Veller noted their cautious yet curious demeanor as they gazed at the alien architecture and biotechnology surrounding them. "Your vessel is truly remarkable, High Commander," said Rice, accepting a crystal goblet containing meridian nectar. "We've only achieved interstellar travel in the last 70 years. Your civilization must be incredibly advanced." "Indeed," Veller replied magnanimously. "The Meridian Consortium spans over 400 star systems and encompasses 32 sentient species. Our technological evolution began more than 10 millennia ago." Science Director Nilana approached, her sensor organ discreetly scanning the humans. "If I may inquire, Captain Rice, our preliminary data indicates your species has experienced multiple global conflicts in your recent history. How fascinating that you managed to achieve unity in space travel despite such setbacks." Ray's expression remained diplomatic, but something flickered in his eyes. "Yes, humanity has had its share of wars. We've learned from them." The diplomatic meeting continued for several hours, with the Meridians explaining their political structure, technological achievements, and cultural history. The humans listened attentively, asking occasional questions, but sharing relatively little about themselves. As the gathering concluded, Veller addressed the human delegation. "We would be honored if you would join us tomorrow for a tour of our scientific facilities. We are particularly interested in establishing a research outpost in your system's asteroid belt." "We would welcome that, High Commander," Rice replied. "Perhaps afterward, you might visit our colony on Mars. It's nothing as grand as your worlds, but we're proud of what we've built there." After the humans had departed, Veller convened with his senior staff in the private council chamber. "Your assessment?" he asked Nilana. The science director's skin displayed the turquoise pattern indicating analytical thought. "They are exactly as our intelligence suggested. technologically primitive but adaptable. Their physiology is unremarkable, though they appear to have unusual endurance and resistance to radiation for bipedal organisms. Their ship contains no weapon systems beyond point defense lasers, added Security Chief Krell. They pose no threat to consortium interests. Veller's skin pulsed with satisfaction. Excellent. I believe we can proceed with our plans for this sector. The humans will make suitable junior partners in the consortium, providing raw materials and labor in exchange for our protection and technological guidance. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent communication from the Eternal Serenity sensor array. High Commander, the tactical officer's voice was tense. We're detecting multiple unidentified vessels entering the system at high velocity. They're not responding to hails. Veller rushed back to the command deck, the other officers following close behind. The main display showed 15 unknown ships approaching from the system's outer reaches. Their design was unlike anything in the consortium database, asymmetrical with jagged protrusions and pulsing crimson energy signatures. Analysis, Veller demanded. Nylana worked frantically at her console. Unknown configuration, but energy readings suggest significant weapon systems. Their trajectory will intercept our position in approximately 90 minutes. Contact the humans, ordered Veller. Inform them we're detecting potentially hostile vessels. The communication was established quickly, but instead of Captain Rice, they were greeted by a different human, an older woman with silver hair and a more elaborate uniform. High Commander Veller, I am Admiral Helena Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We're aware of the incoming vessels and have identified them as the Scourge, a hostile species we've encountered before. I strongly recommend you move your ship behind Mars for protection. Veller was momentarily confused. You're familiar with these entities. Your records made no mention of conflicts beyond your home system. There are many things we didn't share during our initial meeting, High Commander. Standard protocol for first contact scenarios. The Admiral's expression was grim. The Scourge are cosmic predators who target technological civilizations. They're drawn to energy signatures like your ships. Our vessel is equipped with defensive capabilities, Veller replied, somewhat offended at the implication that his people needed protection from primitives. With respect, High Commander, your defenses won't be sufficient. The Scourge use phase-shift weaponry that can penetrate standard shields. Please move your ship to the coordinates we're transmitting. Before Veller could respond, another alert sounded. The tactical display updated, showing new vessels emerging from Earth's orbit. 3 massive ships unlike anything they'd seen from the humans before. What are those? Whispered Nylana. Admiral Chen's expression remained steady. That, High Commander, is the real United Earth Defense Force. The UENS Defiant, Intrepid, and Resolute, our battleships. The Meridian crew watched in stunned silence as the human warships accelerated toward the incoming threat. Unlike the diplomatic vessel they'd encountered earlier, these ships were clearly built for war. Their angular hulls were covered in weapon emplacements, and their engines left trails of blue-white energy as they moved with unexpected speed. I don't understand, Veller said slowly. Your civilization is pre-consortium classification. You shouldn't have this level of military technology. As I said, High Commander, there are many things we didn't share. The Admiral's tone was not unkind but firm. Now please move your ship to safety. We'll handle the Scourge. As the Eternal Serenity retreated toward Mars, the Meridians watched their sensors in disbelief. The human battleships were deploying formations and weapon systems that suggested centuries of military development, not the primitive civilization they had cataloged. How is this possible? Veller murmured, watching as the lead human ship, the Defiant, began to power up weapon systems that rivaled anything in the consortium arsenal. I believe, Nylana said slowly, we may have severely misjudged the humans. The Scourge ships entered weapons range, and what followed would forever change how the Meridian Consortium viewed humanity. The human battleships moved with precision that spoke of extensive combat experience, coordinating their attacks with devastating effectiveness. The Defiant unleashed a barrage of energy weapons that cut through the lead Scourge vessel like it was made of paper. "Those are graviton lance arrays," Krell said in disbelief. "Consortium scientists have only theorized such weapons. How did the humans develop them?" As the battle unfolded, the truth became increasingly clear to the watching Meridians. The humans had deliberately presented themselves as technologically inferior during first contact, a strategy no consortium species would have considered. They had hidden their true military capabilities behind a facade of primitive diplomacy. And now, as the human battleships systematically destroyed the Scourge fleet with technology the Meridians had believed was centuries beyond Earth's reach, High Commander Viller realized their calculated error. They had judged humanity by their apparent technology, not by their potential. The galaxy, it seemed, had just become a much more complicated place. The battle that changed everything. From the observation deck of the Eternal Serenity, High Commander Viller and his senior staff watched in stunned silence as the human battleships engaged the Scourge fleet. The tactical display showed energy signatures far beyond what should have been possible for a species that had achieved interstellar travel less than a century ago. "Their weapon systems are operating on principles we've only theorized," Science Director Nilana whispered, her skin pulsing with patterns of surprise and scientific curiosity. "The energy matrix of their main cannons suggests quantum entangled particle acceleration. Technology we calculated would take another 500 cycles to perfect." Security Chief Krell's attention was fixed on the Defiant's defensive capabilities. "Look at their shield harmonics. They're adapting in real time to the Scourge phase shift attacks. That shouldn't be possible without a quantum processing network." On the view screen, the Defiant positioned itself between two Scourge vessels, each 3 times its size. The human battleship's hull illuminated with a web of blue energy as it absorbed a direct hit from the alien aggressors. "Incredible," muttered Viller. "Their hull should have been breached." "Reactive armor," Krell explained, his voice tinged with professional respect. "It's absorbing the energy and, wait, redirecting it." The Defiant suddenly pulsed, and the accumulated energy discharged in a controlled burst that tore through the nearest Scourge ship. The alien vessel didn't simply take damage, it shattered, fragments spinning away into the void. "They've weaponized defensive technology," Nilana observed. "Highly efficient and tactically unpredictable." The communication system chimed, and Admiral Chen's face appeared on a secondary display. Despite the chaotic battle surrounding her ship, she appeared calm and focused. "High Commander, I hope your vessel is safely positioned. The Scourge have deployed their high ships. Things are about to get more intensive." Viller struggled to maintain his composure. "Admiral, I must confess we are surprised by your military capabilities. Your technological level appears to significantly exceed our initial assessment." A slight smile touched the Admiral's lips. "Appearances can be deceiving, High Commander. Humanity learned long ago that it's sometimes advantageous to be underestimated." Before Viller could respond, the tactical officer called out, "New contact. The Scourge mothership has entered the system." The massive vessel that emerged from supralight travel dwarfed everything else on the battlefield. Irregular and organic in appearance, it resembled a malevolent living creature more than a constructed ship, nearly 20 kilometers in length with pulsating red energy flowing through vein-like channels across its surface. "By the ancestors," whispered Thilara. "Nothing could stand against such a monstrosity." To everyone's shock, Admiral Chen appeared unfazed. "We've been expecting this. Defiant, initiate Prometheus Protocol." The human battleship disengaged from its current skirmish and accelerated toward the Scourge mothership. As it moved, its configuration began to change. Segments of the hull shifted position, weapons platforms realigned, and new systems emerged from previously hidden compartments. "They're reconfiguring their ship in real time," Nilana exclaimed. "The energy readings are off the scale." The transformation complete, the Defiant now bore little resemblance to its previous form. It had become something else entirely, sleeker, more predatory, with a pulsing core visible at its center. "What are they doing?" Veller demanded. "Something impossible," Krell replied, his skin displaying patterns of both alarm and admiration. The Defiant accelerated to unprecedented speed, becoming a streak of blue-white light as it charged directly toward the Scourge mothership. The enormous alien vessel unleashed a furious barrage, space itself seeming to distort with the intensity of its weapons fire. But the human battleship didn't evade. Instead, it absorbed each hit, its hull glowing brighter with each impact. The mathematical patterns were unmistakable to the watching Meridians. The humans were causing the energy to cascade, building towards something catastrophic. "They've created a controlled singularity," Nylana gasped. "They're using the enemy's own firepower to fuel it." When the Defiant struck the Scourge mothership, it didn't simply impact, it penetrated, boring through the alien vessel's defenses like they didn't exist. For several seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a new star briefly ignited in space as the mothership exploded from within, the controlled singularity consuming it from the inside out. The remaining Scourge vessels, suddenly directionless without their command ship, began to retreat in disarray. The other human battleships pursued, methodically eliminating them one by one. "They planned this," Krell said quietly. "This wasn't improvisation. They knew exactly what they were doing. They've fought these enemies before." Hours later, after the battle had concluded, a delegation from the Defiant arrived on the Eternal Serenity. Admiral Chen was accompanied by several officers, and to Veller's surprise, Captain Reyes. They gathered in the council chamber, the atmosphere markedly different from their first meeting. The Meridians no longer radiated condescension but cautious respect. "I believe explanations are in order," Veller began. Admiral Chen nodded. "Indeed. First, let me assure you that our deception was not intended as a sign of disrespect. It is standard policy for humanity when encountering new civilizations. You deliberately misrepresented your technological capabilities," Nylana stated. "Why?" Captain Reyes stepped forward. "History has taught us caution. In our early development, we nearly destroyed ourselves through conflict. When we ventured to the stars, we carried that lesson with us. Never reveal your true strength until necessary. The ship you first encountered, the Harmony, is genuinely one of our diplomatic vessels," Admiral Chen continued, "but it was designed to project an image of technological limitation. The same philosophy guided our initial interactions." "A test," Veller realized. "You were assessing how we would respond to a seemingly less advanced species." "Yes," Chen confirmed. "We've encountered civilizations that view technological superiority as a license for exploitation. Your consortium's reaction to our apparent primitiveness was informative." Krell's skin flashed with patterns of indignation. "You judged us based on a deception." "As you judged us based on appearances," Reyes countered calmly. "Our sensors detected your scans categorizing us as a Category 3 species, and the subsequent discussion about making humans junior partners who would provide raw materials and labor." Veller felt his skin flush with embarrassment. "You monitored our private communications." "Another lesson from our history," Chen replied unapologetically. "Trust must be earned, not assumed." Nylana's scientific curiosity overcame her discomfort. "Your battleships, the technology they displayed is extraordinary. The adaptive shields, the reconfigurable architecture, the controlled singularity. These are concepts our scientists have only theorized." A slight smile touched Chen's lips. "Necessity drives innovation, Director Nylana. Humanity's path to the stars was not peaceful. We encountered the Scourge 3 decades ago, when they attacked our colony on Proxima Centauri. They slaughtered thousands before we drove them back. That was when we realized the galaxy might not be as benign as we hoped," Reyes added. "We accelerated our military research while simultaneously developing a diplomatic strategy that would allow us to assess potential allies and threats without revealing our capabilities. The Scourge have been raiding consortium worlds for centuries, Veller admitted. We've never been able to track them to their source or develop effective countermeasures against their phase shift technology. Perhaps that's something we could help with, Chen offered. Despite our unusual introduction, I believe there's potential for genuine cooperation between our civilizations. You would share your technology? Krell asked skeptically. Some of it, Chen replied. And in exchange, we would welcome access to your biological engineering expertise. Our approaches to technology are different but potentially complementary. Veller considered this. The humans had deceived them, yes, but they had also saved the Eternal Serenity and potentially the consortium from a devastating Scourge invasion. Their technology was clearly more advanced than anticipated in some areas, particularly militarily, yet they showed no signs of aggression toward the Meridians. I believe, Veller said slowly, that the consortium has much to learn from humanity, and not just technologically. Your strategy of cautious revelation is not one our species would have conceived, yet its effectiveness is undeniable. Different evolutionary paths lead to different thinking patterns, Rise observed. That diversity of approach could be our greatest shared strength. As the meeting continued into the night, the Meridians began to understand a fundamental truth about their new human allies. Their greatest technology wasn't their battleships or weapons or shields. It was their perspective, shaped by a history of conflict and survival that had taught them to be simultaneously innovative and cautious, transparent and guarded, peaceful and prepared for war. The galaxy had indeed become more complicated with humanity's true emergence onto the cosmic stage. But perhaps, Veller thought as he watched the humans animatedly discussing technical specifications with his science team, it had also become more interesting. And definitely more secure.